Hi guys, in my previous two videos you saw that the high voltage hybrid battery in my 2010 Toyota Prius died. I took it to Toyota and they quoted me almost $4,200 to replace the battery with a new one. I thought to myself, that's a ton of money, I'm going to try to fix it myself, and here we are. In part 1 of this video series I showed step by step how I removed the battery. In part 2 I load tested each cell and bought replacement cells to swap the bad ones out with. Then I found out that the replacement cells I bought were way better than the good cells in my battery pack, or I should say the cells that I thought were good in my pack. So I did more research and found that it is possible to revive bad cells by doing charge cycles on them, so I ordered a battery charger / discharger to do this with. Let's finally finish this job and get the car up and running again. So this is what I ordered. It's called the C240 Duo. It can charge and discharge 2 batteries at a time. While the charger is being shipped, I'm going to prepare the cells that I'm going to charge cycle. In order to charge and discharge the cells, they all have to be compressed and sandwiched together. This is because the batteries swell when they're being charged, and if they're not sandwiched together, then the cells could get permanently damaged or even burst, which would not be fun. So as you can see, I put the pack on a bench and started to screw the cells back in from underneath. So I realized it is much easier to just sandwich them together like this before trying to screw them into the enclosure over here, because as you're putting them and you're trying to screw it in from underneath, the first 5 or so will be okay, and then they'll start being off-centered more and more and more, so then the screw won't be able to go through. It'll be further and further away and further. So these bars and these plates on the sides, sandwich them together. That way, now if I actually put it up here, it would all those screw holes would align with the battery cells. Guess what came through the mail today? Got my battery charger. And there it is. So I'm just gonna go and figure out how to use this off camera and start charging my batteries. Okay, here's what my setup is gonna be. I hooked up this blower to a few wires running down to my power supply, and I'm gonna be charging the battery soon. So the reason I needed the blower is to have some good airflow going on over here while I'm charging them, because they're going to be getting hot. So I got this hooked up. When I turn it on, I'll put on off. It goes on, blows the air underneath, goes through, and it actually comes out up top from between all the cells. Okay, I ran into another problem. I cannot reach the alligator clip. I'm gonna have to improvise something for this. Okay, so I have it hooked up to what used to be cell number 19, now it's cell number 1. And we're going to discharge at 2 amps down to 6 volts. We're going to charge at 5 amps. And we're going to do it, do 2 cycles. Let's start it. I'll let this run. And I'm going to turn the blower on. What's my power supply? Okay. So now that's blowing. Well, after a day or two, I realized it's going to take forever with just one device, so I ordered 2 more. So now I have 3 of them, which allows me to do 6 batteries at the same time. Sounds pretty nice, right? Wrong. After spending countless hours and days trying to cycle the batteries with these chargers, I found that they aren't good at detecting when the batteries are at full charge. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. So I kept a spreadsheet of the charge and discharge data of every cell. This is actually a pretty simple spreadsheet. Just bear with me and I'll explain. The blue columns are for discharges and the green columns are for charges. And each row is a different cell. So you can see we got cell 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's some other cell names that I named specifically. Don't worry about that. So it's pretty simple. Let's take a look at cell 2, for example. You can see that I had 6,300 milliamp hours in the first charge. The second charge was 5,900. Then we got about 5,500. Then we got 7,000. Back down to 3,000. And again 7,000. 7,500. So you can tell that the results are really inconsistent. Same with the discharges too. You got 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 5,000, 4,000. It's all over the place. And many other ones are the same. So as you can see, some of them I took as much as 9 cycles to try to get some kind of a consistent result, and it just wasn't happening. And the ones that you see at 7,500, and there are a lot of them, it was reaching the maximum milliamp hour settings that I had set. This means that it wasn't detecting the full charge. So this took a really long time. It wasn't a fast or an easy thing, and I wasn't getting good results. It also takes like 4 to 5 hours to do 1 cycle with 1 cell, so you can imagine how long it took to cycle some of these up to 9 times. I can set the charger to do multiple cycles in a row, which I did, but if it reaches the maximum capacity cutoff, which is 7,500 milliamp hours that I set, it'll just stop right there and won't continue doing the charge cycles. It's pretty lame. Not to mention, if I wanted to keep the charge cycling constantly running, I had to keep hooking them up to different cells every 4 hours. So I had to keep waking up throughout the night for like a week. Also, I have a full-time job, so I couldn't baby these things all day every day. Actually, I even used my lunch break for a few days to come home and keep them running. So the moral of the story is, don't buy these C240 Duo chargers for this job. I ended up returning them. Well, the biggest problem with all this is that when it's not charging to the true capacity but overcharging them, I have absolutely no idea how much capacity the battery actually has. And like I mentioned earlier, I tried to get consistent results, but I couldn't. I could try to order the chargers that I saw most people use, such as the Hobby King Quattro, which can actually do 4 batteries at a time, but I couldn't find it for sale anywhere. I don't think they make them anymore. There are some other ones which seem like they might be promising, but I spent far too many hours and lost far too much sleep on this to try out more chargers. If you're curious about how to set up and use these chargers, I'll provide a link in the description to someone else's video where they go into the nitty-gritty details on how to set it up. I used the exact same settings they used. From what I've seen, all these chargers have the same user interface. I guess I could reassemble everything and it would probably work at this point. Even if I'm not 100% sure about what the true capacity of each cell is, And I could try to balance the cells by discharging them all to a certain voltage or connecting them all in parallel, but this would just be a crude way of balancing them. That would leave the question, how long would it actually last if I did it that way? The reason I say this is because I found the proper way of balancing the cells. It uses a high voltage charger like this prolonged one, which costs about $400 or $500. What you're supposed to do is discharge all your cells to a certain voltage, hook them all up in series with the bus bars, and then use the high voltage charger to charge them all together as a pack. I believe this fully balances the voltage and the capacity. Remember, two batteries having the same voltage does not necessarily mean that they have the same capacity. So in light of this, I looked for a local hybrid repair shop and told them my situation. They said they can charge cycle my batteries and balance them for $500. That includes replacing up to 2 bad cells if they find any bad ones. If they find more than 2, then they charge $60 per cell. Oh, and by the way, just keep in mind, not all hybrid repair shops recondition batteries. The guy was super cool though. He explained to me how he cycles and balances the cells, so I felt much more comfortable in trusting him with the job. He does it exactly the same way I found in my research. He discharges the cells down to 2.4 volts during the cycling when he's trying to revive the cells, and he uses a high voltage charger to balance them all. But like I said in my previous video, if you're going to discharge them down to 2.4 volts, you really got to know how to do it because you can easily damage the cells by doing it wrong down to such a low voltage. So in the end, it almost looks like I gave up, but I didn't. Let's add up how much it would cost to buy the chargers/dischargers and the high voltage charger. Let's say I bought the CQ3 for example. I would definitely buy 2 of them because one does 4 batteries and I want to do more than 4 at the same time. So I'll buy 2 of those. The cheapest I found was $144. So 2 of them becomes $288. And then if you want to balance the cells properly, let's say I found the high voltage charger somewhere for $300. So 300 plus 288 becomes 588. So I think the answer becomes clear. Also, it's not guaranteed that the CQ3 chargers will work properly. I could end up in the same situation as with the C240 Duos, and I've gone too long without having my car. I need to be able to use it again. So I'm going to go ahead and take it to the repair shop, and I'll be back when I get the batteries back from them. Alright, so I received the batteries back from the hybrid repair shop, and they seem to have done a really good job at it. They even labeled everything for me. They labeled all the cells or modules, and they even replaced one of them because it wasn't that great. So in the end I ended up replacing 13 modules total. So just to show you it's balanced. So you get the idea. So they're all about 8 volts. So now this pack is actually ready to go into the car. And he also ordered it in such a way that the weaker cells are on the outside and the stronger cells are on the inside, because just to have a more even heating. And that's what I was going to do originally myself. They did that for me, so this is ready to go in the car. So I'm going to assemble the whole thing, put it in the car, and the car should run just fine now. Okay, when putting this back together, putting each cell in one by one, it's important to note that the first negative terminal should be right next to these 2 contacts, and then alternate plus minus plus minus plus minus. Here's another important thing to note. We have 2 identical looking connectors. There's a short cable which goes right there to the negative, and then there's a long cable which comes all the way from the positive of the whole battery pack. And so there's the 2 sockets, and you can see a big plus sign right here. and you can see a big negative sign right there. So don't get this confused, because then the battery will be hooked up totally backwards. Alright, so I put it all back together, and I even put the top enclosure on, this part, and I didn't completely bolt it down, just in case I need to take it apart again, which I really assume I shouldn't, but I only put 2 bolts on just in case. So there's one right there, and then one on the other side down there, just to keep this down in case something goes wrong, in case a cell pops or whatever happens, to keep it all contained. And really nothing should go wrong, but it's always good to be safe. I really don't think anything's gonna happen though. And then the service plug is in as well. I got all the connections down there, so everything should be hooked up and wired up. All the bus bars are on. And let's try it out. First try, here we go. Okay, starting up. No problem so far. Engine hasn't kicked in yet. There it is. So what you just heard was probably, well, I haven't turned on the car for like a good few weeks, so I'm sure the car was pretty dry, not well lubricated and all that. I don't know how to explain. Anyway, it just needed to get going basically. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So, let me see. Turn that off. So far, no codes. AC is working fine, engine's on. I'm gonna take this for a drive, and I'll update you guys later. Okay, so it took me forever to finish editing these videos, so it's been 2 months since I fixed the car now. As you can see, it's running great. I've driven about 2,200 miles since it's been fixed, and I've had no problems or codes so far. Actually, my miles per gallon even went up a bit. I have around 43 now, and I used to have around 40 before I fixed the car. I'll update you guys again in a few months, and maybe again in a year, just so you know how it's holding up long term. Maybe I'll make a video, maybe I'll put it in the video description, just look out for that. So let's see how much money I saved in the end. I bought 12 cells from eBay for $24.50 each, so all that together was $294. I also bought the high voltage rubber gloves and insulated nut driver from Amazon, and those add up to $38. I returned the T240 Duos, so I don't need to count those in, and it cost me $500 for the hybrid repair shop to finish fixing the battery for me. So I spent $832 total for the fix. Toyota wanted to charge me $4,122 for the fix, so I saved $3,290. Wow. Okay, let's say I brought it to the repair shop from the beginning without having done any work myself and asked them to fix my battery. I asked him how much he would charge for that. He said it starts at $990 plus the $60 for replacing each bad cell. I had to replace 13 cells, which means I would have paid for 11 bad cells, since the first 2 are free of charge. So that's $660 just for the cells, plus the $990, it becomes $1,650. So in this case, I saved $818. That's not as much, but still a lot of money. So take it as you want. I either saved $818 or $3,290, I'm happy either way. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want more. Thanks for watching.